Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
Whoa, baby, it's a rambler. Hello, this is Gareth, nipping in at the start for what's becoming incredibly frequently me just explaining away technical difficulties. So what happened this week? Last week we had recording into the laptop mic. This week, what do we have? Drum roll. Everything done sort of correctly, except then a mobile phone was held way too close to a certain host's microphone. I'll let you guess who, and some of the sound quality has been compromised yet again. But anyway, it's a rambly conversation. I'm stealing that from Adam Buxton, as well as I'm also stealing the idea of coming in to explain I don't know, shit about the podcast that I feel is relevant. So those are the two bits that are taken. But yeah, I think there's a good rhythm and there's things here, but I'm going to nip back at two other points because there was some other things that I left out that I really wanted to say. Hope you enjoy. Bye. Bye. Just like Adam Box. All right, cool. Well, then let's go. Hello and welcome to Celtic
Time Person of the Year. You know?
Yeah, Celtic Time Person of the Year, which is actually two people.
Yeah, me and Gareth.
Yeah, and James is kind of in the background. I'm in the front, obviously. I didn't lie.
That's it, because I pull the strings and you're the senile old weirdo.
Shit. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I actually want to be Joe Biden.
Yeah. Whereas I'm cool, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is so cool. She's like Roy.
Roy?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Roy?
From The Simpsons.
Oh, right, from The Simpsons, right. I think you meant Roy from the IT crowd.
No, I meant it from The Simpsons.
From the episode of The Simpsons where Poochie is in it, by the way. Because me and James were talking about how at the time when we were children, we thought that, oh, nothing untoward here. I guess this is a new character for the show. And where's he going? That was weird. He's gone now.
I was just going to get to know Roy.
Yeah. Now he's gone.
You know, I call Poochie preachy sometimes.
Yeah.
He's so damn preachy. He's always like, do I have something to say? Yes, I certainly do.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, that was the quote, I'm pretty sure. That sounds right. So
yeah. That's what happens when Joe Biden quotes. He just he attributes
Poochie, and he was like, "Do I have a question for you?" And he was like, "Yes, I certainly do."
Do you?
Yeah, and he was like, "Do you?" And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
It would be so funny if
that.
like, yeah, that's whenever someone asks him about The Simpsons, he's like, "Yeah, that's the one at Poochie, isn't it?" He just attributes all the quotes to Poochie.
Yeah.
He's like, remember the one where Poochie was going after my predecessor, George H.W. Bush?
Mm-hmm.
That one was disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have Poochie.
Your friend Poochie Simpson there? You know, as your friend Poochie Simpson would say, if the Ayatollah can't handle it, no one can.
As Poochie would say, eat my ass, young man. And then he...
do you know there was quotes on The Simpsons and you were like, that's not right, like what they said there in the Halloween special where Principal Skinner is when they're eating the kids in the school, and then Principal Skinner goes, oh. But when Principal Skinner goes, I'll start by doing what you've so often asked, is to eat your shorts, you know, and you're just kind of like, that doesn't make sense because that's not his flesh, that's not part of his body. If you were eating Bart Simpson, you wouldn't eat his fucking clothes, you know?
You'd eat his ass.
You're like, I'll start by doing what you've so often requested, to eat your ass. Oh, bless.
Do you remember that line he has where Bart has the novelty t-shirt? And it says down with homework or something?
Yeah.
And then he's like, when I was in Nam,
Yeah.
someone wore a t-shirt, up with mini skirts. Of course, we all had a good laugh. Of course, none of us knew what it meant.
Yeah. And then what was the one where he's allowed Charlie to get the drop on us? I spent 15 months in a Vietnamese internment camp, subsisting entirely on a dish made of rice and 3 kinds of, what was it? No, it was a fish and 3 kinds of rice or something. I can't get the quote exactly right.
And,
I've been close to madness trying to find it here, but they just can't get the spices right.
What's the one where they think he's dead for some reason, and then it's like he's sort of triumphantly returning to and he's like, how did you stay sane? He's like trapped in the car.
Yeah.
And he's like, I kept my sanity by seeing how many times I could bounce a basketball in a day and then trying to break that record.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty epic. When I grow up, I want to be Seymour Skinner.
Yeah.
Skimore Slimeball.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember one more. Let's get one more each. One more good
Okay.
Seymour line. I know that you can read my mind, boy, Bart, or something like. And then he goes,
yeah.
"Let's misremember 2 more Seymour Skinner quotes," and he goes, "And if I find out you cook class, your ass is mine. Yes, that's right. I said ass. I think things I would never say."
Yeah, and then Homer's like, I know you can read my thoughts, boy.
We're talking about Skinner lines, so stay on
Alright.
topic.
Okay, well, there's got to be another good one.
I got about 4 more, like right in my head already.
No, okay, well, you said one each.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just
So
showing
you're
off.
ready-
I'm just being like,
Yeah. Well, that's no good to anybody. So,
not useful. But
oh yeah. So here's one.
mm-hmm.
Now I can't remember the setup, and I also can't really remember how he starts the line.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he's like, he's like talking about his mom. He's like, mother's up there on the hill watching me. Remember that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Like so just have a think about that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Can I say, actually, I'm really sorry to do this, but there was one that I really wanted to do where he goes, "You're fired." I'm sorry. Did you just call me a liar? No, I said you're fired. Oh.
Oh yeah.
That's much
And
worse.
And then they make way for Willie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this?
Come on.
Some, yeah, no, it's like
Porno.
no, I was gonna say like, like a Mormon guy on his wedding night.
Yeah, all right. That checks out. I think you were going to say that,
I feel like Mormons say Willie,
Yeah.
and they gotta make way for it. Mormons are always like, make way for Willie.
Yeah, they're all
And
about
we're
that.
not, and we're not talking about the Scottish guy.
Yous are not talking about this. And yous aren't ready for that.
That sucks when people do that. Yous aren't ready to hear.
Yeah.
Like, so it's amazing how well things track onto Ireland sometimes. Like, the people who say y'all ain't ready to have that,
Yeah.
they're like the most middle class, like New Yorker types.
Yeah.
They're the ones who goes like, yous aren't ready. They're the ones who are like afraid to go to O'Connell Street.
Listen,
Except
lads.
for you. Except I know you say it, but that's different.
Yeah, I'm saying it as a joke. And those people are saying it, as a joke as well, but like, they don't mean it like I mean it. I mean it in a better way than they mean it.
Yeah, I'm ironic in a different way to them.
Yeah, exactly. One that's actually funny as opposed to just sad.
Here's something that's also sad. Time Person of the Year.
Yeah.
Going to a young man called Joe Poochie Biden.
Joe Pucci.
And an old, haggard woman
Yeah.
called Roy Poochie Harris.
I love people were pointing out that earlier in the year, the New York Times was supposed to nominate the candidates that they were going to select for the Democratic candidate for president, and they chose Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren. So it's like one of those years of just like, it has to be anybody but, you know, just somebody who people actually like. Anybody but that, you know?
But yous ain't ready to have that conversation.
Yeah, yous aren't. Can we talk about y'all thing? Because I want to talk about this in relation to the recent controversy that happened last weekend with the Ógra Sinn Féin. And
well, let me just ask you, who do you think should have got time pooch of the year?
Whoever so I don't know who got the vaccine first, whoever developed the vaccine, something to do with COVID. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the idea, and also something that's more global as opposed to, you know, the United States. Although I believe that in 2016, Trump got Time Magazine Man of the Year. I believe.
But like, so did Hitler. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Trump made sense because he was revolutionary. You know,
no, but that's the reason they gave it to Biden, is because they always give it to the president, apparently. So. But they couldn't even just give it to Biden. They had to give it to Biden and Harris because it was like, no. Yeah.
Now, I have an apology to make.
Okay.
I won't dox him, but he knows who he is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't take anyone's money for granted.
Yeah.
Gareth. Except the government's.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the taxpayer.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a level of abstraction you can kind of like. They're not real people. It's not a fact. I pay my taxes probably, as far as you know.
That's it. But I don't pay them because I don't support the war in Iraq. You know.
That we're facilitating by having Shannon Airport. I mean, to be honest, like Shannon Airport is still flying over, allowing American planes to land.
So 35% of our budget goes towards defense of Shannon Airport. And,
well, I had to think. I was like, I didn't want to pay the TV license because of that big payout that they made to the Ione Institute. I was like, well, fuck that, and I'm not giving my money, and they give it to the Ione Institute.
But what I do not take for granted is the €5 or 11 in one case or 2 in another.
Is there still a 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you to all those people.
That's why. Niall?
You said you weren't going to name him.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm so shit at my job. I'm so sorry you hate me. And I'll never record through my mic again.
Laptop
or whatever.
mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've done it twice already, so...
So odds are I'll do it again. But
yeah, I mean, you're probably doing it right now, as far as we know. You know?
But I'm sorry about it.
Yeah,
hey,
okay.
You know that song, Is It Too Late to Say Sorry?
Yeah.
Well, how about Is It Too Early to Say Sorry? Because I'm sorry.
Okay.
The other thing you said was about a corrupted file. I feel like that's your fault.
No, remember when you uploaded the Patreon episode this week and then it didn't work and then you re-uploaded it and it did?
Yeah.
That's what he's referring to as the corrupted file.
Yeah. Well, whose idea was it to have a Patreon?
Yours, actually. You said it on the podcast. I was like... Initially, actually, I brought up, we should do a Patreon, and you were like, who would pay for it? Let's not bother. And then eventually, like 2 weeks later, you were, we should start a Patreon. I was like,
that's it. I just heard
sure, why not?
You know, I just heard about this guy called Niall.
Yeah,
he'll pay for us. You know.
Yeah.
To pay to humiliate me on record. You know, just write in, completely demolish me in front of my family.
Yes.
I was like, oh. Thank you all for coming here. I'm going to read you some of my fan mail. And I was like...
I got one notification. I haven't read it. I'm waiting for all of you to be here.
Yeah. But you all ain't ready to have that conversation.
And then you read because even though you said that, you still read them out to them.
That's
We
it.
all aren't ready to have that conversation. Anyway, dear Celtic Ligers.
That's me.
Yeah.
Dear Poochie.
Okay. I want to talk about Ógra Sinn Féin very quickly, because I know that you don't find this very interesting at all.
Yeah, I find it slightly more interesting now.
Why is that?
Okay, the angle I find it interesting from is like the media angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way it's been used, but like I just don't care about like it just seems like internal party. Like, let's get into it anyway.
I wanted to talk about it because we were talking there about the all ain't ready for it culture, and some of that is kind of what I feel is happening here. There's a bunch of, so basically, harkening back to fucking 2 weekends ago, where Brian Stanley basically put out a tweet saying, I don't know, something about 2 IRA attacks, and then they tried to.
One of the troubles and one of the
War of Independence, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the other one in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he was he was like, both were lessons. Too bad the British took so long to learn the lessons. But you all ain't ready to have that conversation.
But you guys are all not ready to have that conversation. Then people were like, please don't do that. Please don't appropriate American black culture. And that's what we've been talking about now for. So he's like, he is on he's the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Yeah. And he was asked basically to make a statement. But then like some Fine Gael staffer went through years of tweets and found one in 2017 that had him saying, yippee for Leo the Tory, something like that, wasn't it?
Yippee for Leo the Tory. Instead it's like,
you can do whatever you like in bed.
In the sheets. Yeah. Under the sheets. But don't look for money on the dresser in the morning or something like that.
He didn't say that. Money in the dresser, that's way too sexual.
It was deeply sexual.
No, it wasn't. You're the one who said it wasn't sexual.
No, I said it wasn't homophobic.
Okay. No, he didn't say that. It was still...
He did. Look it up.
I'm looking it up.
Look it up. Look it up. Hey, Poochie, you look like you're looking something up. Yes, I certainly am.
Yeah. Hello, children. Okay, yippee for the Tory. It's Leo. You can. By the way, the way this is phrased, he sounds like a fucking idiot. Do you know?
Well, that's like he clearly was a nobody at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like it's written in the way that like someone with 2 followers writes a tweet. You know?
He spelled you just with the letter U, and then yippee for number 4 D Tory D the letter D Tory. It's Leo. You can do, what was that one? You're too late, Mr. Detective. What's that one? I'm just anyway, whatever. It looks like something written by a serial killer is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah. You're too late, Mr. Detective.
Yeah, it's better than getting your rocks off with a girl.
Poochie's already here.
Yippee for the Tory, it's Leo. You can do what you like in bed, but don't look for a pay rise the next morning. A pay rise. So
where did I get that from? I was like, when you don't, when you take off your used condom.
I mean, like, this is kind of the media doing its work, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the
but
media.
anyhow, someone in Ógra Sinn Féin in UCD, who is the head of the LGBTQ society there, decided they would step down because of homophobia within the party. And then another woman called Christina O'Mahony, who was in Ógra Sinn Féin, decided she was posting out a bunch of tweets. She was previously posting out a bunch of tweets because of the reprehensible decision that the support that they gave to greyhound racing. And she said that they shouldn't be doing that. And she was kind of like loads of people targeting this woman. Basically, I follow this woman and she actually still follows me. But she, I had to mute her account because she just kept talking about Sinn Féin too much. This was a few months ago. So when I heard that she was giving out about Sinn Féin, I was like, well, that's strange. And then so what happened is she was talking about the homophobia within the party, and she then said, oh, well, I'm going to appear in the Irish Times. And then this article came out which had said that a senior party official came to her door and told her to stop tweeting. And as the story wore on, people, Fine Gael used it as in, look at these heavies come to the door, they're not a normal party. There was rumours going around that he was XI or Ray, and I believe it's really funny because they're not able to name him, and so people have taken that as suspicious. They're like, oh, why aren't you able to name him? The reason they're not able to name him is because she didn't want to name him, because he was a family friend who's literally a next door neighbour of theirs 3 doors down, who came over to tell her, who came over while she was friends with her parents, said she was tweeting online about this stuff and she should consider deleting it, And anyways, she's then gone on afterwards and oh, I want Fine Gael to retract their heavies comment. I didn't mean heavies, even though the whole fucking day she was literally writing about can you believe they came to my door, they knocked on my door and they harassed me and the abuse that I've been receiving. And she just walked it back immediately after the article, And then so she appeared, she was interviewed for the Irish Examiner, the Irish Times, the bits of the interview were taken for the Journal, and then that former head of Ógra Sinn Féin LGBTQ, he appeared on Claire Byrne on Tuesday, and basically there's all these people going fair play, Christine, fair play to all these people, and I'm considering leaving the party as well, and all this type of stuff. And then you open up their bios, all 18, 19, 20, and you're just kind of at this stage. It's you are not strong enough for the fight that's ahead. You fucking, this is, to me, is the kind of, the whole kind of, you all ain't ready for this politics. Do you know, it's you joined a legacy party in Ireland, and you're did you know that there's homophobes and racists in there? It's yes, of course there is. Do you know what I mean? If you didn't want that, join PBP, do some more fucking research, or even go to the Sock Dames if you want, But this weird, I know this is unfair of me to lump on this person, but they're a black member of this party as well, and it's oh, they're not racially diverse enough, and they're homophobic, and it's well, now they're one black LGBTQ member less because of what you've done, and you've just pulled the trigger on this thing. Do you know what I mean? That's your one card to play, and you played it, and now the establishment or media are using you as a cudgel to beat the party, who at the moment are the best chance of achieving the stuff that you want. Now, again, that might be me going way too much to bat for Sinn Féin, but I did find that incredibly naive and just kind of incredibly aggravating. Do you know, the amount of fucking discourse that was spent on this, and that she's just the amount that she was tweeting about Sinn Féin before that made me mute her. She was suddenly tweeting about the harassment that she was receiving again, and I was I can't, this is so ridiculous to me.
But personally, let's see this as being indicative of, how Sinn Féin is run. Do you know what I mean? Whatever the reason, Sinn Féin is very top down as an organisation,
Well, yeah, okay, sorry.
What?
No, I was just saying, in comparison to what other party? Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, both of them, the exact same, do you know? Well, that's how organisations run. This thing about this idea of it's a bit suspicious or something that they're from the top down. It's that's how it's done, and it's
well, I think Sinn Féin just have more of a history of say Mary Lou, there's no leadership contest, which would be pretty normal for other parties.
Right.
It's sort of it's just organised by a select few who are in the know, people are sort of instated as the leader.
Right.
So when I say it's top down, it's sort of there's just less accountability within the organisation. There are people who, just by virtue of their history in the organisation, are, have seniority, in a way that's not democratic,
Well, I don't know anything about this. I don't even know. Like, I wasn't paying attention when they were selecting a leader. Sinn Féin wasn't. Like, I wasn't even really engaged in Irish politics in any way.
Yeah.
Except for like in broad terms.
Like I can just imagine that for these teenagers, like maybe they're just seeing how Sinn Féin runs. Do you know what I mean? And they're not liking it. Like they are like 18.
Nah, I think it's an importation of this fucking American bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Where it's literally like, you know, like I don't even know what their aim is. Like, what are they hoping to achieve? And it seems to be to just like, unfortunately, get on like the headlines, get into places and talk, and you know, be featured on these things.
Do you think? Because like it wouldn't be a good look for like, you know, people are gonna like her for turning against her party so openly, even if it is Sinn Féin. You know, people don't like turncoats.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's just what I've seen the past few days. Like the stuff that she's put out is just like, just bizarre. I thought that it was just really attention seeking and kind of not really in the spirit of anything. And the goals are so diffused. It was kind of like, oh, I wanted everybody to talk about the stuff that was going on. It's like, well, that's not what you said. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've made it a very personal thing, and you made it seem like an ex-IRA guy came to your house and intimidated you, rather than a family fucking friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can just imagine like maybe she was told to change her story, you know?
Hey there, just nipping in really quickly because I didn't hear James make this point and we actually quickly moved on to another topic. But I'm just going to say, she was comfortable enough to bring up the story. She's been comfortable enough to continue tweeting about it throughout the week. I don't think there was pressure to change her story, and the implication is just really annoying because it's kind of the reason the Irish Times article was able to be written at all on such a flimsy premise, you know. Yeah, we go on anyway to, you know, cite plenty of examples of genuine intimidation from other parties, mainly Fine Gael, and I think it's just easy to dig at that spectre of the IRA without examining it any further. And even if the guy was former IRA, it doesn't make them this fucking knuckle dragging savage who vanishes people in the middle of the night. You know, they were a neighbour who came round, and clearly she still respects this guy enough to keep him out of the headlines. But anyway, it's not very fair to do this when James can't respond. But I'm edited. He who edits plays the Piper. Well, the other article that was released is, and this is, I mean, first of all, Public Accounts Committee. Big committee. They met this week to talk about Noel McGee, who was a whistleblower for the prison.
You're telling me about this
prison
earlier.
officers. Yeah, and basically, I believe a few years ago, the Echo Chamber have covered this, so highly recommend listening to their stuff. But essentially, the long and short of it is, this guy saw something bad happening in his workplace and wanted to be a whistleblower. He told Charlie Flanagan. He sent a thing to a confidential leak or whatever to Charlie Flanagan, who was the Minister for Justice at the time. Charlie Flanagan then immediately sent that back to the superior at the prison of whom he was making the complaint about. And then apparently at the time, Varadkar was very vocal about protecting whistleblowers and stuff like this. So he felt that he could send a message to Varadkar to complain about Charlie Flanagan leaking this confidential informing thing, and then Varadkar just sent that to Flanagan, and it's found that they were in breach of like some fucking act from 2014, and the Public Accounts Committee, which Andrew Stanley was the head of, but had to step down for this fucking week, you know, due to pressure from this stupid tweet, do you know?
Brian Stanley.
Brian Stanley, sorry, what did I say? Andrew Stanley?
Yeah,
he's like a comedian who I for some reason keep getting mixed up with Brian Stanley. He's like a shithead comedian, isn't he? Isn't he like a fucking... Wasn't he outed as being... He's alleged to have done some unsavory things.
See the bingo guy, the bingo loco guy or something?
Yes, he is. Yes, I think that's him. Yeah. But anyhow,
anyway.
So the Public Accounts Committee, whatever, I don't know whatever about that. All I know is that Brian Stanley was on that, and now he's not on that, on a week that they're hearing where Leo basically, again, improperly acted in information that was sensitive, you know.
That's it. It's like it's an absolutely masterful Fine Gael just manipulating the media, or just the two of them in cahoots, you know.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's almost hard to call it masterful because it's like, you know, who's being manipulated here. It's like they're both willing participants in this, you know. Like they like I said with that article where they're like, oh, party official came to the house. It was like they jumped on that. It was straight away. Ógra Sinn Féin. It'd be like commenting on fucking something happening in young Fine Gael, which by the way somebody has brought up today, and they're in order to kind of prove that they're not biased. But it's like nobody was really talking about the Irish exam. I mean, those fucking hardline Sinn Féin people in the replies to Aoife Grace Moore were always going to be given out about bias in the media in general. But like the Irish Examiner and Gavin Riley, you know, are impartial, or largely to an extent, and they're going to comment on things that are happening. So today they commented on a young Fine Gaeler who was threatened, basically invited to a beach to meet somebody, or they invited this person, and they were confronted with a tweet that they had made about Kate O'Connell, and basically were threatened to suspend their campaign unless this tweet was, otherwise this tweet would be revealed. And this was Fine Gael. Let me find the article. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't pull this up already. I typed in Young Fine Gael into Twitter, and there's like people going, "We're joining Young Fine Gael."
Yeah, so someone saying, "It's official. I've joined the Soc Dems." It's like,
yeah. Oh, the Soc Dems thing is kind of like, because they keep pointing to like Holly Cairns, and like she's just such a like, I don't know, like the Soc Dems in general. Just this idea, is the cipher the correct word? The thing where you can just project anything you want onto somebody. It's like, you know, she gets up there. She, to her credit, mother and baby homes. I'm gonna give her that, you know. But I like, I just find her thoroughly underwhelming. One of the things she did this week was she said that when Helen McAtee was on maternity leave, she was going to abstain from voting to allow for her to, you know, to not miss out, basically. It was like a real Leslie Knope fucking move, you know?
yeah.
And so here it is. I thought that was just, this is so pathetic. This is what we're doing, really? Do you know? And the people were like celebrating it, you know? Okay, here we go. Times.co.uk publishes, the headline reads, Fine Gael Council candidate Dylan Hutchinson confronted by Jennifer Carroll McNeil over derogatory Snapchat post. So basically, he made a thing about Kate McConnell saying, when she lost her seat, going, ding dong, the witch is dead, okay? Dylan Hutchinson was nominated as a candidate to fill a vacancy on Dunleary Rathdown County Council after Barry Ward was appointed to the Shannon in April. Miss Carol McNeil, 40, a TD for Dunleary and Fine Gael spokeswoman for equality, met Mr. Hutchinson and his father on Killiney Beach due to public health guidelines alongside another Fine Gael official in June. The candidate was presented with a screenshot of a Snapchat message he made and basically dropped out of the running after that.
So, basically the exact same thing.
Yeah, except this one is actually like a thing. This is a party official, like a genuine named party official, coming to somebody with a tweet and saying, I have this on you, let's stop doing what you're doing. And then the other one was a guy coming to the door saying, you really shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to say this, I think it's a fucking old lad. It's like a friend next door, you know, like coming down going like, maybe don't fucking do this, you know, if for the party, you know. Like, I don't think there was an implicit threat in anything that he said. And she didn't say that either. She said that, yeah.
Exactly. Like, I agree with you.
But the other thing that happened is interviewed yesterday or 2 days ago on Tipperary FM was some other Sinn Féin councillor or TD or something. I don't know what the fuck. I can't remember his name. His last name is Brown, I believe.
I think he's a councillor. I'm not sure.
Councillor. Yeah, here it is. He's a Sinn Féin TD, and he appeared on. He basically appeared on Tipperary FM and said, like, the tweet about the Troubles. He was like, you know, we've been in a state that's been occupied for 800 years. We're going to have some history and violence, and we need to. He's like, the apologies should stop, and people need to learn their history so we can move on. Basically,
yeah. I think one of his big things was he said that they need to stop apologizing for viewing the Troubles as a as a continuation of the struggle for independence, you know.
Well, he made a broader statement that I actually think was a lot more articulate. He does say to people, really, you should go on and listen to it on Tipperary FM, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't find anything wrong with what he said. I think like he's kind of saying like this is bullshit and this needs to stop, you know? Like we need to actually have some sort of reconciliation with our history and figure out what to do, you know?
Well, it's lucky because Bracker just said there's a crisis of polarization developing in the media.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
so it looks like they're on the same page on that one.
Like, I genuinely, like, I'm like, right now, I just can't even, I'm lost for words. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm literally, when I woke up and I saw that, I was just like staring out my window for like a good 20 minutes, just feeling like, just trying to, you know, when you just feel like there's like a train going through your head and you can just hear like the fucking veins in your head like pulsing, you know? And
yeah,
it's just this week where it's like, I can't believe it took him this long to weaponize his homosexuality. Do you know what I mean? Like, you said this correctly, because I said ages ago that if Pete Buttigieg was still in the race at a certain point, that Radker would probably have been pictured around St. Patrick's Day with his arm around Pete Buttigieg or something like that, or he'd have his colourful socks, or he'd be doing something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, but you were like, no, he doesn't really do that, because he kind of tends to downplay his homosexuality, which is actually largely true. Like, he'll show up at Pride, but that's like, Mary Lou goes to fucking Pride. Like, everybody who's a leader who's worth their salt should be at Pride, you know?
Yeah.
But like, you were right, he doesn't really play up his homosexuality, and I was just like to see him now do this, and it's in such a such a nothing tweet from 2017. And the Phoenix pointed out, as a listener sent in an article, I don't think they want to be named, one of the things they point out is that the reason that, well, they speculate that the reason the 2017 remark at the time went uncommented on is, well, you know, it was a different era, first of all. I mean, I know it was only a few years ago, but it was kind of, you know, I don't think, anyway, maybe, yeah. I mean,
it was, I let you go on, but it was also the Brian or the Barry Cowan thing, where like, just wasn't a big story at the time, and now the media needs something to write about, so they they make it a big story, you know?
Yeah. So, but the Phoenix puts forward that basically Simon Coveney ran his campaign for the Fine Gael leadership on family values, loads of stuff with his family, and there was even a quote that I think it was Barry Ward.
No,
it was Barry Walsh.
Was it not your man O'Reilly, the Minister of Health?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What's his name?
Quote was, that was the only one that I thought was kind of like stand out, as in like, that's very pointed, you know?
Like, Simon Coveney is like from an ancient merchant Cork family, you know?
Right.
They've been rich for like 500 years.
Yeah.
They probably are homophobic, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, I think, like I've said, like, I think that there's, like, it's
but
homophobia
but
that needs to be...
Radker was homophobic.
Radker was also homophobic. Well, I don't think he's anything. I think he's whatever he needs to be for the current moment, and conservative is his, like, default, but, like, economically and just kind of... He really doesn't think that people are entitled to any sort of benefits. Those are the two things he believes really strongly about, you know? But the rest of it is like, whatever you want, I'll say it, you know? Will this work for me? Yeah, cool. I guess, you know, I'm out and proud now, you know?
Well, like, I mean, what did he say? Like, see, the thing he said didn't even really make all that much sense. He was like, Sinn Féin, it's like, if you're in Sinn Féin, people don't support you if you're gay or, you know, a POC. Don't know what term he used. But then if you're not, they'll attack you.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just like he didn't explicitly, like, he didn't, I don't know, I just don't see Sinn Féin attacking people for being gay all the time, you know? There's like this one tweet, are there any others?
Well, I also think it's like well, I don't know. I don't know if there's any others. I mean, maybe they'll start coming up in the next few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, like I said, I really don't think it's like the anti-Semitism with Corbyn. It's like, or with the Labour Party. It's like it's not specific to Sinn Féin, and it's definitely a greater issue. And I 100% believe, well, no, probably comparable levels of homophobes in Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and Sinn Féin. Do you know what I mean? Let's just say, put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was it. That's what I was going to say. The importing of the Bernie Sanders style thing, where everybody has to be responsible for all of their supporters, but it only ever goes in one direction. It's never like young Fine Gael are going to be held accountable for all the awful, disgusting things that they say and do to people. Do you know? It's always like, oh, actually, like all of these supporters and anybody who is critical of Fine Gael is in Sinn Féin. So it's not even like, it doesn't even mean anything, do you know? So I think like as far as TDs go, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's homophobia there and there's examples of it that'll come up, equally amount of examples to be in the other parties. But as for the supporters, I don't think that there's any more racist or homophobic supporters in Sinn Féin than there is in Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, any other legacy party.
That's it.
You know?
There's a lot more like people afraid of 5G or whatever, you know. But, but you know, that's a different thing.
All right, our bad. We ended up kind of deviating from the article that we were talking about. We never really ended up finishing the point, so I'm just going to finish it here. But essentially, we're referring to Martin Brown, the Sinn Féin TD from Tipperary, who was chair of the Oireachtas Committee on Public Petitions. Basically, Fine Gael, two Fine Gael members, Brendan Griffin TD and Owen Murphy TD. Owen Murphy, that same Owen Murphy, exactly, the former Minister for Housing, called on Brown to clarify statements he made on Tip FM yesterday, according to the journal.ie. Basically, they wanted him to comment on this. He asked, why didn't you bring this up beforehand? Why are you like ambushing us now? Can we please go to a private committee so we can actually talk about what we're here for? And they did the whole kind of, we have very grave concerns, and if you're not worried about this, then I don't see how we can proceed. And then, of course, voted to prevent the committee from going into private meeting, which meant that they couldn't carry out their business. And he, Martin Brown, wasn't going to say anything about the comments. He was like, listen to the radio interview, I said everything I need to say there, and I don't feel like fucking bringing it up here as a political football. And so the meeting was just forced to adjourn. And so here we are. This is the type of shit that we're playing. And you know, the whole goal of this stuff is to just, you know, inhibit any Sinn Féin member that's on some sort of committee. We have it with Brian Stanley as well. This is what it is. You can see what it is. It's transparently Fine Gael trying to fuck over Sinn Féin and using identity politics and the Troubles in order to do so, and they haven't really a credible response to either of them other than aggrievement. So yeah, it's pretty disgusting, pretty despicable. I hate seeing Owen Murphy back in the news, and I don't know, I think we should all be pretty concerned. So anywho, yeah, what was it? I guess I'm going to pull up the quote, just the thing that James Riley said really quickly, which was, Simon understands what it means to rear a young family. So that's what he said at his leadership thing. But anyway, to get back to, so Mary Lou told Brian Stanley to take basically a leave of absence for a week, and then he's going to come back next week and address the tweets that he said. But he was also asked to apologize for the homophobic tweets, and he's like, I don't have anything to apologize for because my record stands for itself, and I don't even really believe that what I said was homophobic. It's just people trying to make something out of nothing, which I kind of like, you know, I don't know. I think there's better ways you could have handled it, but the sentiment of it, I don't think I disagree with it, you know. And I do think Mary Lou made a fucking hames of it this week, but I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. I think she was very late in the damage control, and one of the things she did as well is she like I haven't listened to the interview, but she went on Claire Byrne, and even people who were like sympathetic to Sinn Féin were like, that was not a very good interview. And she kind of was very mealy-mouthed in her responses, and then she, like, later that day she posted up a clip of Brian Stanley in 2013 and doing a big yarn about LGBTQ stuff. And I do mean the T was definitely mentioned there. Like, he actually did talk about transgender people, which I think is commendable. Do you know what I mean? Especially in 2013 at that point, do you know?
Oh, big time. Yeah, it's more than more than most other people are doing.
Oh, God, yeah. So I think, like, you know, she was kind of saying this. I just thought, like it kind of painted the wrong picture to me, and maybe I'm incredibly naive. It seemed that she just really likes this guy and she really needs him on this public accounts committee, so she wants to, like, keep him on, and she's kind of trying to be like, no, look, they're wrong and they're misleading. But it kind of, if she's not able to be kind of, I don't think she was able to be as definitive as she needed to be in her language to get people to kind of just, I don't know, to make it seem like it wasn't like, oh, do you know what, maybe, you know, he's former Ra as well, and then they're hiding for him, and, you know, it's very suspicious what's happening, isn't it? They kind of just, I don't think they did enough to dispel the kind of clandestine nature of it, but at the same time, it's hard to tell if this is just the impact of the media that's having on me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because one of the questions that Claire Byrne asked in it was, do you believe in planting bombs in public places? Which is, like, one of the most leading fucking things ever. It's so stupid. Like, oh no, actually I really love that. I love that. You know what I mean? And, like, why, I don't know. It's bizarre. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, she was probably asking that because of the tweet. Like, was it?
Yeah. I think. One of our listeners messaged in to say that they believe that, or at least I was in private correspondence with one of our listeners. Maybe it's not message worthy, but they were saying it was an opportunity to kind of talk about the violence and start to try and combat it head on a little bit, and to try and change the narrative around it, because as the more they run away from it, it continues to be something that can be used against them. But I think you had a different take on that, did you, or is it?
Well, like, I mean, I'm sort of, like, you know, I'm sort of talking against someone who messaged you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't talking to this person.
Why don't you say what your fucking real thoughts on this, this message are?
But, like, you know, Sinn Féin can never, like, they deny that an involvement with the IRA, you know, as far as I know. Like, Adams always denied that he was in the IRA, didn't he? And,
I don't know.
But, you know, they can't address it because, first, like, the media will smell blood in the water, you know, and secondly, like, if they start trying to address the violence, then it's like an acknowledgement that they were involved, you know,
that they, like, own the violence then, and it's kind of like, but it is so frustrating because, you know, like, again, the centenaries that are coming up, like the fires in Cork, you know. And, like, you know, Hogsies and Black and Tans, shooting people who were trying to put out the blaze and cutting the hoses, you know what I mean? It's like, violence is just, you know. And then the more I've heard throughout the week as well, there was, like, that they proposed the idea of a Truth and Reconciliation Committee when they were drafting the Good Friday Agreement, but the DUP rejected it, you know. And then you only have to look at, like, Arlene Foster and the way she, like, we've talked about this already, the way she responded to an hour before the verdict about Pat Finucane, that, you know, that the British state wasn't going to investigate it. And then Micheál Martin went up to visit her to talk about the violence that took place, the state collusion of Republican violence in the Republic, you know, like this week.
Yeah.
Like,
but, like,
it's just...
but, like, don't forget, she's part of a party. She's head of the party that didn't sign the Good Friday Agreement, you know? Yeah. It was UUP who signed it. The DUP were opposed to the Good Friday Agreement. Like, what's so annoying is that there is this debate, like, but, like, the Free State parties, whatever you want to call them, you know, you probably wouldn't call them that. I don't know why I call them that, but they there's no good, like, they're just doing it in bad faith. They're just using the violence as a way to score political points, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're not actually interested in, like, understanding or, like, thinking about the role of violence or trying to bring in these people. Like, the way they talk, like, if you support Sinn Féin and if you support the Republican struggle in the North, like, Fine Gael can do one of two things. They can either shit stir, you know, and make tensions higher, you know, this whole, like, middle class versus like a predominantly working class nationalist group, you know, call them murderers, call them, like, completely deny any validity in their struggle. Like, not critique it, but, like, actually just call them murderers. And it's like, that's not useful. That's just stirring up sectarian tension, you know? So, like, that's why I don't think Fine Gael actually give a shit, because they're just using it to stir up trouble.
Yeah.
Whereas what they could actually do is, like, I don't see them trying to court these people who feel like their only representation is through Sinn Féin. You know, they're more likely to punish them, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, Fine Gael have no interest in representing the poor of Derry or, like, the poor of any part of Ireland, you know?
Yeah.
Or the people who live in any, like, hard Republican area. Like, they go to Sinn Féin because Sinn Féin represents their interests.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to understand that, Fine Gael just, like, viciously goes after them. Like, that's just point scoring. That just, it doesn't mean anything.
Kind of reminds me when Hillary Clinton was interviewed and for that awful Hulu documentary where she said, I just feel so bad for those Bernie Sanders supporters and how they were kind of duped, you know? Like, it's this thing they keep talking about is, like, they need to know what the, you know, Sinn Féin does, and it's like this kind of acknowledgement, it's this kind of belief that people don't know what they've done. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's like literally the only thing that they talk about, and instead of investigating, you know, like we said a million times before, what is making them want to vote for these people despite all of that, you know, they're just trying to kind of stoke the tensions. I think that they've hit a soft spot here this week, to be honest.
It reminds me of, like, when so tired when Biden was running, he had just beaten Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders was out stumping for him and, like, trying to get people to vote for him, trying to rally his own base to support for Biden. And Biden went, like, Biden went around, like, bitching about
Bernie Sanders,
and he was like,
I beat Bernie Sanders, I beat the left,
he's like, I'm not a socialist, I beat the socialist. And it's like, but then he's also expecting the socialists to vote for him or the left to vote for him. And Sinn Féin and Fine Gael is the same thing. It's like, Fine Gael want these people to vote for them, but they're just completely disrespecting like where they currently are, you know? They're not extending an olive branch, they're just whipping them, you know?
Sorry, go on.
And then they have the nerve to go on and be like, why is everything so polarized? And it's like, well, maybe it's because you keep, like, in your fucking job interviews, you're like, we need to hire more people who can go after Sinn Féin online.
They literally said that. I couldn't. And then the other thing is, like, within that article, because he appeared on, like, a panel with Biden's campaign manager. It was like an American panel, and he was talking about, they were talking about social media, and he was talking about how it's, like, polarizing in Ireland and stuff. But the other things that he said in that, or at least they were announced this morning, just the amount of shit he's come out with in the past 24 hours has been so upsetting, you know? He said as well, what was it? He does expect there to be a Brexit deal, and that he said that I think we're going to, in the final hours leading up to this, we're going to see more of the Liberal Mayor of London rather than the more conservative Brexit PM we've come to see, you know?
Right.
And then he also said that he regrets not doing an election back in Easter because he thinks that Fine Gael would have done better. At the height of the pandemic, he regrets not doing an election. Great, you know, like.
And what's wild is that, like, from, you know, you Fianna Fáil, and, like, countries heading into a no-deal Brexit.
Yeah.
Fianna Fáil are, like, have the Taoiseach because of Fianna Fáil. We haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah.
the HSE are going to completely fuck up the rolling out of the vaccine.
Yeah.
You know, there's whistleblower controversy. Like,
Yeah.
you're not hearing anything about Fianna Fáil. We're currently experiencing climate change. Like,
Yeah.
you're not hearing anything from the Green Party, despite the fact that, like, I don't, like this is like, I was been reading the farming section, and like, there's this big debate about like how there just isn't anything being done about you know, preparing Ireland for climate change or like reducing emissions. And it's like they're talking about it in the Farmers Journal, but like in no other media outlet are they like talking about how the Green Party isn't doing anything about climate change or Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about Fine Gael just like shiting on about nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like, why is this the stuff that's so important? Why can't it be? Because it feels like we're always talking about Fine Gael. And it's like, because that's just what the media is always putting out, and like everything else is so hard to find out about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and then also it's like, you know, I mean, I hate to do this, but like comparing it to, this is my feelings. This isn't me saying it's Trump-like, but when I was observing, you know, basically the whole Trump administration, there was just this new controversy every day to the point that you just get so overwhelmed. But, you know, no matter how many scandals that happen, they just keep happening and happening and happening. And then you have Leo saying today, oh, I should have done an election in Easter. It's like, how come you're the one talking about this? How come nobody else is talking about a fucking election? Like, can you just, like, this is a man saying, oh, it should have happened in Easter when the entire country was locked down, you know? Instead, now it's like relatively open, or apparently we can open for Christmas and then we lock down immediately in January. This, you know, you can actually do temporary kind of easing of restrictions, if it's for something that's necessary. And it is fucking necessary with how fucking inept these people are. Oh, but then the other thing that happened was more Matthew O'Toole text released over last weekend. So that was the Leo leaking to Matthew O'Toole, which is from like a month back now, I guess. And there was more text revealing that they had a relationship that was actually a lot more than was disclosed, you know? And I mean, nothing really added to that story. It's the same old shit. It's just he was kind of caught lying, and you know, he's caught lying on multiple issues. But then I'm just running down through these little bits of the list. There's one line that I also forgot, that back in 2017, let me see if I get this right. Yeah, Regina, a blogger called Catherine Kelly, basically wrote about Regina Doherty, who was the Fine Gael Minister for Social Protection at the time. And basically a blogger commented on a business of hers that went bankrupt. And she had the guards from Pierce Street Garda Station go over and tell that woman that she shouldn't be tweeting negative stuff about Regina Doherty.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, so people were posting that in the comments underneath the woman who's apparently fucking, you know, the neighbor who came over who told her to delete some tweets. And then what was I going to say? Yeah, the other thing, and another example of kind of media and the government working hand in glove, where it goes, the cabinet improves pay increases for judiciary and party whips. Okay.
Oh, that's so.
Yeah, that was terrible. But one of the things that happened was when they initially launched the article, I think if you scroll over it, you can see it in the thumbnail. Oh no, it's changed. But the original picture for it was a Sinn Féin TD or Sinn Féin, somebody in the judiciary who was from Sinn Féin. I don't know the plans of government, the whole bullshit. But they were saying he's actually going to make the most money out of this. Was the focus of the byline for it. And then within the hour, Sinn Féin had said, of course, like they want to do, they gifted it back to the state. And Tony Groves pointed out how this was complete photo editorializing and such bullshit to like draw fire away from Fine Gael. And then they changed it to a picture of a judge's wig after that. Yeah. So, yeah. Great stuff. That stuff's flying completely under the radar as we talk about a tweet from 2017 and the fucking Troubles. So, shouldn't the gift of the peace process be that I don't have to live through the fucking Troubles again? Do you know what I mean? I'm not living through it insofar as I'm getting shot at, but we just have to live in a news cycle that's from the 70s or 80s. Do you know what I mean? Where we're like talking about stuff that like is just so alien to me at this point. I think we should recognize the history and all that type of stuff, but when it's brought up to just as a cudgel against, I mean, it sounds like I'm defending Sinn Féin, more like I'm just want to move on to a different conversation and talk about things which could positively affect my life while all this other stuff is happening. Oh yeah, Bartra also got planning permission for a fourth co-living whatever.
You did. That was
settlement
funny.
Tenement.
That was funny.
That was accidentally funny. COVID living.
Earlier you redeemed yourself.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess we're kind of tired, so I'm going to try and wrap it up. The other thing, government under fire for proving that. I want to talk about Holly Cairns. I think we kind of touched on that briefly, but like people were kind of talking about how like there was a lot like Gavin Riley and a bunch of fucking really bougie middle class people just tweeting out like, I don't see what's wrong with loving somebody, you know what I mean? Like your political differences should stay at the door, and personal opinion, I think like if you are able to do that, that is a fucking luxury.
Yeah, I mean I do agree. Like I what was even the criticism? Is that she's married to him?
She's not actually married to him, it turns out. She's just dating him.
Yeah, like I just, to me that's a non-issue. It's like she's seen this guy. Like people, like not everyone.
I don't know.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like you what is it? You don't think she should see him?
I just don't know how you could. I'm drawing it. I'm putting it together along with her saying like, "Don't worry, Helen McEntee. I will abstain from voting." It's like you're not really serious about this. You know, it's like one of these things where it's like, look, at the end of the day, we're all people, and it's like, right? No, it's like, no, I fucking hate these people. I'm not pretending. I'm not fucking around. Okay, like when she like the idea that she could put forward a motion about or to try and highlight the mother and baby homes, and then be like dating a guy who just voted against it, because he's a Fianna Fáil TD, so they unanimously voted against.
I know, but like, what is the like? If it's that she's compromised, that's fine. Or if it's
no, it's just I don't believe what she says or does. I think it's just incongruous then with the kind of like, fucking AOC clapback kind of energy that people, I joined the party because of Holly Cairns, she's out there and she, all the, there's a whole kind of girl boss bullshit about it. And I think it's undermined by the fact that it's like, I don't feel like her hatred is pure,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's probably true, but
yeah.
I just was so confused by all that because I was just like, what's the remedy? Like what is? I'm not talking about you here, but just generally on Twitter, I was like, what's the complaint? Is it? Do you think that she should break up with him, or like, you think that she's a bad? Do you think she's a bad person for going out with him? And like, does that matter if you agree with what she's doing? Like, I don't know. I can understand that's the situation of going out with somebody you disagree with politically. Like, I know loads of people who've done that, and it's like, I don't know. I just don't see the issue.
No, I mean, like, I think you're right. I think I am being pure petty, but I think, like, it's just something I cannot avoid being petty about. Like, I just, for some reason, I can't. I'm just like, it's so hard for me to imagine. Somebody encapsulated it in a tweet, which I just really love. Is like the pure awkward dinner that must have been had in the Cairns household after the mother and baby homes vote. You know what I mean? Just this idea of the two of them sitting across from each other eating in silence. I was like, that is very funny to me. Do you know?
Like, how must it work? Like,
yeah.
Like, do they just drop it, or do they just agree never to talk about it, or like, how do you think it operates?
I have no idea, because like, I don't know, maybe it just shows the limits in my friendships with people, but I would like, if I drop politics from my talking, I would have very little to talk about other than movies or TV, do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can, I just think, like, am I wrong in saying, like, you know, that your politics and the things that you believe in and that you want to see a better society, like if somebody was like, well, I don't even think, because with the mother and baby homes, it's such a cut and dry example of how, like, that was not to benefit anybody or to create a better society, do you know? Like, that wasn't like, oh, we have different ways of achieving the same goals, do you know? That was literally like, I'm just going to do this because my party's making me do it, but also bullshit trumped up reasons, and I just don't need to think about it too much. I'm just going to press the button or however they fucking vote and just let it wash out of my head. I don't have to think about it. We just weather the news cycle and then can move on with our lives, you know? Like, I don't know how you do it, because then you'd be sitting around a table and it's like, what type of world do you want to live in? And the other person is like, no, this is fine. This is actually good, the world that we're living in right now, do you know?
Yeah, that's when they're so actively engaged and changing, or like, you know, introducing laws or new situations. It's like, I guess it's pretty bizarre just to be like, drop it at the door.
But one last thing, just a good news item. The headline from the RTE News: Lord Ivy has repossessed the Ivy Market in Dublin South Inner City in the latest twist in a long-running planning row. The market, which was built in 1906 by the Ivy Trust, has been derelict for over 20 years. So it was acquired by this like developer, and he was just like dragging his feet, and the whole thing was like rotting for ages, and it looked like it was going to be demolished. And then at the last minute, just by some fluke, they found out that this guy actually had right to claim ownership of the building again if it had been dormant for however long a time. So it might not be the end of the story, but it was like, just all these people are like, fucking finally. Do you know, there's all these people in the South Inner City who're just feeling like, yes, now we can turn this place into like a market or something nice, or like where people can live and it doesn't get to knock down and turn into fucking student accommodation that will be turned into co-living as a result of the fucking, you know, COVID, do you know? So that was some good news.
That's good news.
What's that I hear? It's gonna be the patrons. We're going to talk about the patrons. And if you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers. For a mere €5 a month, you can unlock hours of bonus content. €11 a month gets you a personalised cartoon from moi, a political cartoon. And just ask Joe Joyce. And I'm now doing this because in case people don't want to have to sit through hearing us say thank you to the patrons, but I will say this one is incredibly funny. I thought it was good. It made me laugh. I don't know. You know what? Anyway, CelticLigers.com, at Celtic Ligers on Instagram and Twitter. Maybe we'll get a Facebook. And we're also on YouTube, if you want to go on there. Leave us a review, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
We love it, don't we, folks? We love it when we say your names like your fucking breakfast cereals. That's a good one, actually. Maybe we should do that.
Okay. I'm so tired. I don't normally complain about being tired, but I literally feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I had a nap today, though, so I'm actually pretty peaky. You know, or the other one, good.
Why don't you just read out there?
Breakfast cereal for Rob Gale.
Rob Gale. What about this one? For throbbing. What about throbbing male?
Throbbing male, the famous breakfast cereal, throbbing male. You know what? It's like Tony the Tiger. He's a real heartthrob, and he's also a male. You know,
and he's throbbing.
And he's throbbing.
You know where?
In his chest, because his heart's thumping blood throughout his beautiful tiger body and to certain other places.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Certain others. 8.5 inch. Yeah.
Yeah. His 8.5 inch fingers. Stephen Bradley, Stephen
Okay.
Bowley. He's eating
What?
a bowl, a bowl of cereal.
Okay.
Stephen Barley, because it's made out of barley, cereal.
What the fuck are you eating for your breakfast? Barley.
Barley is in Cheerios. It's one of the grains.
Yeah. Why do you just hush for a minute
Okay,
and let
fine.
me think of what's his name?
All right. Stephen Bradley, pick up the pace. We've got to get through this.
Stephen Beardley.
Beardley, like beard, like Snap, Crackle, and Pop. When they introduced the female one, might be a lie. That was a beard for all three of them, and they're together in a polyamorous relationship. But of course, you're not ready for that. You're not ready for that.
You all ain't ready for throbbing male.
Three throbbing male pixies selling cereal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Alison Spittle.
What about Alison Spit Take? Like
Yeah.
you're eating cereal, watching the.
Yes. This is
watching
great. Okay, we're really on a bull.
We
Richard.
never said what she was watching. Come on, we have to say what she was watching.
Oh, we didn't say what she was watching. Saturday morning, so Mummy's Alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Mummy's Alive.
Or Sherlock Holmes in the 37th century. Either of those classic Saturday morning cartoons.
In Mummy's Alive, was there a guy who always had a different accent every time he spoke, or did I make that up?
I mean, my lore for Mummy's Alive is not that good.
Can we get an expert, a Mummy's Alive expert on the fucking podcast sometime,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, these are all not ready for Mummy's Alive. Sorry, that was Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. Apologies for that.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
That's a completely different show. That would be like, the Time Machine. They'd have like
That'd be
fucking...
like Mummy's Alive in the 31st century.
Yeah.
But this time, y'all ain't ready to have that conversation.
Okay. Richard Zimmerman.
Okay, now this one's going to be epic, right?
Okay.
Richard Dinnerman.
Oh my god, because dinner is the opposite of breakfast. And that's a cereal.
Yeah.
And sometimes
he's
I have
like-
cereal for dinner,
Well, he's having something grown up. He's having veal.
He's having veal in with milk on it in a bowl.
Yeah.
When you hear milk-fed veal? No, this is just
Veal.
milk
This is
on
just-
veal.
I was talking to someone and she was saying that when she was young, her mom used to make her go to the beach. She was older. And, collect like clams
Mm-hmm.
and then boil them in milk.
Well, I'm going to surprise you. Because my parents do that with cream. So... I think you can do that. Boil them in milk. I don't know. That doesn't... I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
That
Frigid
explains-
Persil. Fridge Persil, not frigid. I don't want to say that. But fridge. Like,
Yeah,
you open up a fridge and you get your milk out and your cereal is in there as well. You put your Cheerios in the fridge. Like, we all do that.
What you do is you put it... You mix it up the night before, so when you wake up, it's there when you're ready. you know?
Yes, exactly. And it's all, nice and soggy, just like we like them.
And then Throbby the tiger comes out and he's like...
Yeah, and then they're nice and soggy and throbbing. And so so the next one, easy enough, Milky Fox.
Oh, I think we can come up with something for this one.
Milky Foxos.
dirty-
Foxos the cereal. Yeah.
I was going to say dirty box of cereal.
A dirty box of cereal. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cause it's
You know the
like,
one
you
where
have
it's
to-
like, I love Frosted Shreddies, but they're always so expensive, and then you find one 50 cents because the box is all fucking dirty.
That's it.
Somebody's like
They
stepped on it.
They left it out in the rain. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's all soggy and throbbing.
and you're like, I think this will do just fine. I think Poochie said this will be just fine.
I have to go now. I'm sorry. This is going great. This is a mixture of like what we're getting here is just like all of the themes of the episode just coming
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Now this
Have you
one
seen
also an
Breaking
easy
Bad?
one. Yeah? What about Breaking Bad?
This is like his lab, his world famous lab.
Yeah, it's like we're putting it together and it's like, yo, these jokes aren't supposed to be poochy. And I was like, that's when it's pure. It's purest when it's poochy.
That's it. Poochie is king.
Yeah.
You know? I'm the one who poochies. I'm the one who has to go home.
Okay, so here's another one. This one's pretty easy.
This one's
Kyle
gonna be-
O'Neill. This one is going to be Kylo's because it's like a cereal. It's like Kyle O's.
What about this?
Okay.
Pine oatmeal.
Yep. You know when you have pine in your oatmeal. So the next one is
You're sitting under
Connor.
a tree trying to eat your breakfast, and it's like, why are all these pines falling into my oatmeal?
Yeah, you know, like when you pour milk into the bowl first. You leave that in the fridge. You wake up in the morning, pour the cereal in. Leave that till tomorrow, okay? Take it back out. That's oatmeal now. And you go out onto the big pine tree and you just tuck in. But all the pines are falling in and they're making a piney oatmeal.
You fall asleep. And when you wake up, your oatmeal is full of pine needles. But you're late for work, so you just have to eat it anyway.
Yeah.
Next,
Connor
Patreon.
Barry.
And I just want to say, I do not take anyone's €5 for granted.
Okay. Connor Barry.
Okay, now this one's going to be epic because I'm going to say, bacon. You know.
I was going to say scone or Barry because you have a scone at breakfast with your bacon. So scone or bacon.
What about this? Yeah, scone or bacon. Scone or Barry's tea. Do you want a scone or do you want Barry's tea?
Yeah, you can have one, but you can't have both. All right.
Are you thirsty or hungry?
That's why breakfast cereal is so good because you can have both. But obviously, if it's not breakfast cereal, you have to choose. You can't just have,
Here's a life hack. When you go to a restaurant and they're like, "Are you hungry or thirsty? Which menu should we give you?" Just ask for cereal. Legally, they have to give you both.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I flicked away, and now Oh no, here we go. Liam McCartan. The box is like a carton. No, Liam McCartan of milk. Liam's, he's got a carton of milk.
It's so simple.
Elegant
solutions for a virtual problem.
Yes. Claro Nulon. Claro spoon on. She's got a spoon. She's eating her cereal.
Now you're just taking the piss. Come on.
All right, Claro's, just like Kylo's, except they're with Claire instead.
What about clear? Like the milk has turned clear.
Like when the milk just gets like, you leave it. It's like, oh, this milk's going clear now. You can see the bottom of the bowl and all this. Yeah, cool. Niall McGillicool.
Niall. Well, I'll tell you how much that cereal cost.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
€5.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, Niall. That next one is Ronan Carey.
And scary. Okay, next one.
Niamh Kelly.
Okay, now here's one.
All right.
What's her name? Niamh.
Niamh, yeah.
What about
retrieve the bowl from the fucking cupboard,
you
Kelly?
Idiot.
Kelly.
What about this one? Wait. Name someone famous called Kelly. Captain Kelly. Okay. Captain
Ned Kelly.
Ned Kelly's cereal.
Yes. Like that sounds good. Yeah. Paulie Doyle.
What about Smalley Bowl?
Smalley Bowl. Perfect.
Of cereal.
Now for the last one, Joe Joyce, and we really need to think long and hard about this
Okay.
because he deserves an extra special one.
Okay, we got Joe Joyce. We got a lot of work with him.
Not for cereal. Not for cereal.
What about this? What about Bo Juice?
Bowl juice, because that's what
No.
the residue that's left.
Yeah, exactly. I
So
actually
you're
said,
drinking the bowl juice. You're drinking. So you finish your cereal and then you drink the bowl juice.
I said Bo, like the Irish for cow.
Oh, that's
You know?
actually better. But also this, I think there's more
Yeah.
room to imagine the person who says the milk in the end of the bowl is called bowl juice.
That's it. It's like
They're li-
there are two types of people who would say that. It would be either be like a 4-year-old boy, or like the last girlfriend of your 20s. Just
imagine like
some,
being like
some woman who loves being twee, just be like, no, it's my bowl juice.
I was thinking it more like you're in a like shared accommodation and then you're both there and it's like, well, me and this guy I didn't know before this, but we're getting on. And then you have a bowl of cereal one day and it's like you're just not a fan of the milk at the end, you just don't like it for whatever reason. And then he's finishing up a bowl of cereal, smacking his lips, and he's like drinks the milk, and then he looks over at yours, he's like, you're gonna finish your bowl juice? This is the
Yes.
image that I see. Just this guy, and it's like nobody has told him throughout his entire life that's not what you call that, You're like, what did you say? Did you say bowl juice?
You gotta love it.
Anyway, that's the patrons. So thank you to our patrons. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers to get bonus content for €5 a month, and for €11 you get bonus content, but also
That's
I do
it.
a drawing of you.
You get a political cartoon, Gareth.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Which is probably not a great deal, I'm thinking.
no, it's really good.
Yeah, I want to do more cartoons, but I'm struggling with depression and anxiety at my own abilities, and also work on top of that.
Yeah, and I can't draw, so
Yeah. Although I will tell you that Joe Joyce's comic was fucking. I thought that was really good. That was one of. We really need to do that again, like another. Basically, James just started rattling off stuff, and then I drew it. That's essentially what happened. So you don't get to see it because that's for Joe. But I
Yeah.
think, can we describe it just to tell people?
that's it. It really is the closest we've come to childbirth, and it was
Yeah.
they're surprisingly easy and painless. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the fuss is about.
So we had Leo Varadkar
No,
sleepwalking.
you can't even explain it. No, it's just for Joe.
Okay, sorry. All right. But honest to God, I would do you know what? I'll describe the one that I have closest to me that we did the last time. That was for nobody, and it was a hyena in a straitjacket jumping up and down on a trampoline, and Micheál Martin was like looking on, going like, "When is it going to be my turn?" Something like that. And then you just like you said, and then Homer Simpson is down the bottom right hand corner saying like, "Duh-oh," or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It's like. But either way, they're beautiful cartoons, and that could be yours for. I mean, we're considering setting up a shop to do this, where people can buy their own personalized political cartoons. Because if I was getting paid for it, I imagine my anxiety would probably lift very quickly. That sounds right, doesn't it?
No, it would be so much worse.
I think I'd be pretty okay. Yeah.
Be just like riding a bike.
Yeah, it'll just be like, oh, you need me to have it for a deadline, and there's going to be a lot of people looking at it, and there's like pressure to send it out to you. Well, now I can finally focus and sit down and just get through this,